Hello everybody, pangoduck here. I'm going to be real with you. I just got finished binge watching all of Quill 18's Underdog Challenge playthrough of this game, and I've run out of videos. So, what am I going to do? Go and do something else? No, I'm going to just start playing it myself instead. So I'm doing something a little bit different in that I have gone on Create a Team. And I have created Pango Racing, as you can see, my logo, my car, my uniforms. And turns out, if you pick the lowest investment as well, which means low pressure, but you don't get a lot. Yeah, pit crews, sponsors, staff, headquarters, car, all bottom in the league easily. The drivers are close to the average arrow, so that's something. I'm not sure if I'll keep them or not. We'll get into it. We have got a lot to do. So, okay. We're starting with 5 million. Let's move into the mail, and yeah, we have a chairman, Kurt Kruger, just basically because that's how the game works. Okay, it's a load of rubbish. Targets for the first season. Frankly, we have temporary staff and drivers, no sponsors, a weak car, and a shoddy HQ. So we're just going to go and select 10th. 10th is last, of course. There is 10 teams. Each team has 2 cars, so 20 cars in a race. We're starting with so little, and we're not going to have enough money to improve everything. So yeah, I figure we just go with a target of last, and then we can't disappoint everyone. We do lose out on almost 3 million, 2.75 million, but I don't think we can expect to get 8th with what we've got. So we'll just go 10th. Yeah, that's fine. That takes us up to 19 million. Scouting report. Okay, initial report. Take a deep breath. Our drivers are awful. Our designer is awful. Our mechanics are awful. You need to get hiring fast. Brilliant. Okay, well, we already knew, I suppose. And this guy is telling me about pit crews, but I know about that. So, where shall we begin? Obviously, we've got to hire a bunch of people. But first, let's just talk a little bit about how the game works. Okay, so car. Here is the car. Obviously, we have 2 cars, although they are identical. If we go on the current parts, like improved parts, here we go. In this league, and the rules differ league to league, but in this league, and the rules can change, you can vote on rule changes each season. But right now, the front wing and the rear wing are spec parts. This means they are the same for everybody. Everybody has the exact same part. Here in the performance list, you can see the current performance and the maximum performance of a part. They're already maxed out. You just have those. Everybody has those all season. That's it. So we forget about those. The suspension, the gearbox, the engine, and the brakes, however, you design and build those. And as you can see, unsurprisingly, having seen that we have the worst car, these are just abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. I mean, so we have 2 sets of everything because we have 2 cars, yeah? So we have one car that has brakes that have a current performance level of 2 with a maximum of 13. And our other car has a current performance level of 0 on the brakes with a max of 8. I cannot stress to you how bad these parts are. So we're going to be working on that. So you understand the performance list. The reliability list is pretty self-explanatory. It goes from 0% to 100. And this is the starting reliability at the beginning of a race. And during the race, depending on how much of a hammering each part gets, the reliability goes down over time. Stuff like your engine, if you run on a high engine mode to go faster, you're gonna deteriorate the engine more. And if you go into the red zone, it will go down extremely quickly. I think it's literally like double the speed. And if it breaks, well, I'm sure you can imagine how that goes. So you work on improving reliability and performance of all your parts up to the maximum of 100% reliability. And whatever the maximum of your part is. Even though the spec parts, we cannot improve their performance, we can bring their reliability up because they start at 80. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. As for part quality, that's pretty much just, you know, self-explanatory. As you increase the quality of parts through designing them with a better designer, spending more money, picking more attributes, you just get more kind of characteristics to each part, you know, sort of it gets buffed. The colors, I think, are relativity to the league. So purple, I think, is just the best level in the league, and then I can't remember how else it goes, but you know, that's what the colors are. So we understand the parts, we understand performance and reliability. You have two main race mechanics. One improves performance, one improves reliability of parts. You can see at the moment I have 2 slots available for each. So since we're hopefully going to redesign and replace all of these terrible parts, we might as well spend the time improving the reliability of the parts that we already know we have to keep all season. So let's slap those in, and there you go. I guess we'll just do a little bit of performance increase on the engine before the next race, but it's just basically a waste of time. We have 10 staff. We're going to allocate them all to reliability, and as you can see, you get 3% from the staff and 0.1% from the mechanic, because he sucks, per day. So that will get applied to these. The completion time will be 4 hours after the race, but by the time the race starts, you know, these percentages will be pretty high. Okay, so moving on. We now understand that. And we now understand that we also need new race mechanics, because if we have a look, terrible. Reliability and performance stat, I've just basically explained what those do. Chemistry is the chemistry with the driver, because the mechanics also can give buffs to the driver. Pit stops, I think, just increases efficiency and speed of pit stops for that car in general. Part fixes, fixing the parts. Concentration, I assume that's kind of a multiplier to mistakes and whatnot. As you can see, they're both shocking. So we'll be looking to replace those. So those are the race mechanics. Let's move on to the designer. So as you can see, we cannot design new wings, either one, because they are spec parts and they're shaded out on the chart. Everything else we really need to do. So let's pretend that we're going to design an engine. Because Anjali, interesting, okay, is terrible, and there you can see her stats for designing every single type of part. We're not going to be able to design a very good one. We can pick one of these attributes, so we can design it the way we like, and as we increase in quality, we'll get different lines of attributes down here. But so we can only make an average one with one slot. This is an engine. Let's say we want top speed plus 10, reliability plus 10%. That's what we want. And you see, this is unavailable. Okay, we would design an engine with 15 current performance with 39 max, which actually is a lot better than what we've got now, but it still seems low. So, and then the reliability would start at 50 because we've got this 10% buff, but we would have to obviously work it up somewhere higher. Okay, but that's the designer. So we're going to want to try and replace the designer as well. That was a lot of information. Either you're still with me or you've already left, so it doesn't matter. If you're hearing this, you're still here, so we'll continue. So designer, so like when we go on scouting, you can see designers, race mechanics, and drivers. So let's have a quick look at our drivers. Okay. So here they are, our two main drivers, and we have a reserve driver who, well, they basically don't matter, and we're not going to spend any money on them. If one of our drivers gets hurt or whatnot, the reserve one will step in. So let's just like use Andre as an example. Most of his stats are self-explanatory. Braking obvious, cornering obvious, smoothness is to do with tyre wear. So if they're a smoother driver, they're not going to wear out the tyres as much and, you know, shred them to bits. So that's a good thing to have. Overtaking obvious, consistency obvious. Adaptability is to do with the different types of tyres. So obviously you have various slick compounds of tyres, and then you also have intermediates and wet tyres. And let's say the rain hasn't quite started to fall, but you've already swapped onto intermediate tyres. If you have a high adaptability stat, you won't get punished quite as much while using the wrong tyres for the situation. I hope that makes sense. Fitness, not a clue what this does, but, you know, it's there. Feedback has to do with, well, it's kind of self-explanatory, getting feedback from the driver on the setup of the car. And focus, well, if you have a low focus stat, they're going to lose focus and crash. That's the long and short of it. They also have traits, like some are permanent, some are temporary, you know, whether it be a few weeks, a few months. Andre is a narcissist, permanent, but that's actually a nice trait because he has plus 30 marketability, which is here. We will get to marketability in a minute. We are almost at the finish line. Race mechanic, you have a relationship with your race mechanic, and as it goes up, amongst other things, you can get certain bonuses. Like this, nurse, car condition drops slightly slower. So it is beneficial to have the same driver and the same mechanic together for a long time. Oh, deep breath. Right. Marketability. So he has 51% marketability. To have a better look at that, let's go to sponsors. Right. So the breakdown. Gomez has 51% marketability. Anthony has 16%, and our current team marketability, unsurprisingly, is 0. You take all three of those numbers, average them out, that is your overall marketability, and that will affect your sponsor offers. So for a team in our position, getting marketability as high as possible is pretty important because we need as much money as we can get to, you know, turn things around. So it's quite good having Gomez with that, you know, reasonable marketability, and we need to raise our own team marketability as quick as we can. Right. So I think we now understand the main parts of the staff. We need to look at the HQ, but first and foremost, yeah, right, we need to scout. Now here's the problem. Firstly, let's look at drivers. If we sort by racing series, we are in the European Racing Series, which is the bottom league. I don't particularly want to try and nick drivers from other teams because then, you know, I've probably got to pay out their contract and all sorts. It just doesn't seem like a good way to start off when I've got a lot of things to spend money on. So if we go all the way to the bottom, oh my gosh, if I can click on it. Yeah, here we go. So really what we're saying is ideally we want to, if we are going to swap our drivers, we want to take, you know, some of these that are not attached. If we, well, we'll get to the HQ, but there's a scouting center, and if we upgrade it, we'll find more drivers that aren't attached. But for now, this is what we have. So here is the problem. We have scouting slots. Let's say we're gonna scout Dembele. 40 days to scout him. Next race, 16 days. So it's not great, is it? So we do want to scout all of these, so I'm going to go ahead and add them to the queue. But in terms, well, actually, some of them are shorter, look, but even so, it's not great. So we do get, as you can see when I mouse over, we do get a general, although it's not very general with some of them, is it? Look at smoothness, 4 to 14. It could be good, it could be terrible. Maybe we don't replace, I mean, to be fair, the drivers aren't as bad as I thought they were going to be, considering we're the worst team in the league, and they do have 2 and a bit stars. Granted, there's no potential. Potential would outline the stars. Hang on, maybe, well, I suppose because I can't scout anybody. Well, here you go. If I look at designers, you see they have this guy, he has potential of 2 stars, even though he's not currently there. So that's how potential looks. So, I mean, and also, I mean, when we looked here, our drivers are about, well, they're 6th best. I think maybe we're just going to stick with them and scout out drivers, because I can take a punt on them and just say, okay, well, like, oh, well, look at Engelhardt. He's got, you know, good stats, but if I sign someone who turns out to be disappointing, I can't really afford that money, because let's say if we were going to sign Engelhardt, he's interested. I mean, look, the lowest we can offer him, and we don't know what his expectations are because he's unscouted, but the lowest we can offer him is basically 320 grand per race. What are we currently paying our drivers? 220 and 184. So I think we're just going to wait it out. We can't do everything at once. Now, what we can do is have a look at some of these designers. Now, again, I don't really want to be paying clauses. I mean, if we go up to our league, I mean, well, I assume the reason to break his contract, it's not that expensive, is because he's terrible. Yes. Now, I have come and had a bit of a test game of this, and it appears the people are the same. And so I was looking at Vasily here. Now, obviously his front wing is god-awful, but what do we know about our league? The front wing is spec. We can't design a front wing. That does also mean that his rear wing stat is kind of wasted, but in general, he's not bad for our level. Especially 17 engine is nuts. But if you look at some of the other options, you know, a lot of theirs are quite low on parts that we do care about. Yeah, so whilst he isn't perfect, and he does only have 8 gearbox overall for our level, I think he's a good one. So I will be offering him a contract. Assuming he's interested. Let's just check that now. I'm going to go back and do the negotiations separately because it's going to take a bit of fiddling. Okay, so mechanics. Now, same thing with mechanics. I assume I have the same ones as when I previously started the game. I do. Now, it's not always the case that it's just about stars, but I can quite safely tell you that these two with the most potential are the best. Obviously, this woman has a fair bit of potential. Her pit stops are nice, her part fixes are nice, but the reliability and performance, you know, we really need to get our parts improved. So the long and short of it is I'm going to offer these two a deal. So first of all then, let's have a look at Vasily. What do we know about what he wants? Wages are important to me. I'd prefer a long contract, like a nice signing on V. Bonus size is quite important. Well, here's what we're going to do with the bonus. If we get first, you can have all the money in the world because we aren't going to do it. Now, long contract. So here's the problem. I don't know how much money we're going to have, but I do know we need some good staff. So what's that? The lowest is 48. What's the max? Oof. Okay, well, they're important. So I think we might open up with 68, 78? Is that like the midpoint-ish? Is that too much? It's quite a lot, isn't it? He does have 4 patience, which means kind of like, as long as you don't insult him, you should get a few attempts at negotiating. So we will open with 68. Signing fee. Ooh. Well, the lowest is 67. Wow, okay. I mean, it's only a one-time fee, right? And I mean, we do have a fair bit of money still. I think we'll try 300,000. Okay, so I'm just going to go and do the same for the race mechanics. Medium contract. We'll do the same with the bonus. God, I'm exhausted. I bet you're all sick of listening to me. There's a lot to talk about. I'm trying to ram everything into like one episode, and maybe it's a bit too much. Okay. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that's fine. Like, I know it's a fair bit for the position, but like, it's just a one-off fee, isn't it? Wages are where I'm a bit scared. So it's 14,000 to 43,000. So can we like get 25? I think that's fair. And that was Becky, and now Kevin. Come on, Kevin. Long contract. Crank that. 30,000. Well, yeah. Maybe we'll try 45 on you. 24,000, max 72. So maybe we can offer you about 30, 33. I think that might be a bit low. He's only got 2 patients as well, so I'm actually just going to put it up another one in case. Right, we have staff contract proposals out. So, the next thing I want to look at is the HQ. We start with a factory and a design center, nothing else. And as you can see, we're just behind on everything. Which, you know, we know what we got into. So, in terms of upgrades, well no, before we look at upgrades, new buildings, you'll notice we can only build these 3 buildings right now. Because this requires a level 2 factory, etc. Forecasting is good, it means we'll be able to see further forward in terms of when rain's going to arrive. Like, as in literally during the race, you can only see a few laps in front when the rain's coming, and you need to plan your pit stops and your tyres around that, so that's a good building. Scouting, more hidden drivers as I mentioned, staff centre, you know, your staff will improve a bit better. For now though, the kind of obvious thing we need to do is upgrade the factory. Well, we need to upgrade both. We're going to do the factory. Plus 10 part development staff is huge. Remember I allocated those 10 people to reliability. Imagine if we had 20 people. And extra part improvement slots at the same time, and then we unlock the ability to build a bunch of buildings. So we're going to do this. It takes 20 weeks as well, so we need to get it going. I don't want to waste time. And I think the final thing to do before we actually move time ahead is look at the pit crew. Oh god, okay. Well. Right. Not too hard to understand. You can see in the pit stop there's 6 positions. 1 guy on the front jack, 1 guy on the rear jack, and then 4 on the tyres. The back 2 are in charge of refueling, the front 2 are in charge of fixing anything. These guys are all terrible, as you can see. The slight addition to this is there is, on top of the base percentage chance of a mistake, each person adds a bit to that percentage overall. And this is based on stamina. So, stamina, their max stamina, their current stamina. Obviously, after each race they get tired, you have to swap them around. People who even have a low max stamina are kind of terrible because, I mean, 71 is not good. Like, everything you do, you're adding 0.6% chance for a mistake. So it's not great. Let's see if we can hire anybody. This guy, I mean, based on what we've got at the moment, even though it seems pretty bad, but compared to what we've got, I will take 6 tyres and 9 fixing. He can't work the refuel tyres. And then he can also work the front jack. And he's got decent stamina, so his mistake chance is not there. So let's take you. You do have to pay a signing on fee that first time. But it's worth it. And I mean, this guy can pretty much just work the jacks, but he does have good stamina. A bit, yeah. Well, let's hire this one. Okay, right. Also, auto manage is like not good. just as a FYI, auto managing not good. Right, let's see who has. Wait, what am I doing? Swap tires and refueling. I mean, it's not good, is it? Look how bad everyone is at tires. Yeah, we got to get some different pit crew, but oh, why did I put you there? I misread. Oh, God, it's terrible, isn't it? Okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to take 2-7. Whoops. And we're probably gonna have to take a 4-2, which isn't good, is it? Okay, tires and fixing. 0 and 4, absolutely. We must have better than this. Oh yeah, of course we have Gibson that we just signed. Can we do better than 1 and 8? I kind of care about tyres a bit more than fixing. Oh, it's not great though, is it? 3 and 3. I think we'll leave Sanchez. I'm not happy about it, but I think that's what we'll have to leave for now. Front jack, there's got to be somebody, yeah. Rear jack, that's fine. But yeah, it's not great, is it? It's not great at all. And after the first race, this lot have got to come in. But anyway, we know it's a problem. that's made me have a bit of a rethink and think that 8.3 is not so bad. 8 tyres and 3, so I might even hire you. But I think we'll reject the other 2. And I think they had lower stamina as well, right? Oh no, they didn't. They have high stamina, but they're not. There's just no point. I'm going to reject. Just get out of here. Get out. Right. I think then we're ready to advance time and see how our contracts go. I don't particularly want to design a new part until we get a new designer because it just feels like a waste of time. Did I? Yeah, I did set up reliability, so we're working on that in the meantime. And I think that's going to do it until we can. I mean, how long do we have to wait? Okay, so we'll get a few of them on Sunday. Or is that everybody? Ah. Well, okay. Well. We'll see then. So before I advance time, now that we've got all of that initial setup out of the way, I'm going to call it there. If you made it all the way through, then Jesus Christ. Well done. And if you took in all that information, even better. Okay guys, well, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.